From the film, The Fantastic Four, First Steps, we're going to take a look at Marvel's first couple, courtesy of Hasbro Marvel Legends. See you on the other side. What's good, my peeps? It's the Ruckus back at you again as we continue our trek through the Marvel Legends, the Fantastic Four First Steps wave from the film Fantastic Four First Steps. We're going to be taking a look today at Marvel's first couple, Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman. Reed Richards, Susan Storm Richards. You see what we got going on with the packaging, this unique packaging for the film. We've got the old school motif there with the Marvel Studios logo, as well as that that cartoon character down there in the lower right of both packages. Pretty interesting there. You see the figures and their accessories in packaging. You also can see the four at the top. We've got the thumbnails on one side, and we have smaller thumbnails on the other. And on the rear, we have more artwork showing both characters there, looking pretty nice there. We will, of course, see how accurate their portraits are in comparison with that artwork. And with the power of the ripple, they are out of their packaging. So this is what they look like. Remember, if you were with me for my last video, the review of the Johnny Storm and Human Torch figures, I had said that the basic designs for their costumes are consistent, but there are some subtle differences. You can see that right here. Let me remove one of Sue's accessories, her invisible shield, so you can get a better look at her boots compared to Reed's boots. You see hers basically just come above her ankles, whereas Reed's are they're up to his calves. And you can see that there is also some differences with the around the neck, chest area. Sue's turtleneck, if we're going to go with that, is white, as well as you know, the part there at her chest is they're also white, and whereas Reed's are basically the same color as the rest of his costume. And I can see, and we'll see this close up, but from right here, from this view, I see that their control watches, or whatever they're called, it's supposed to be called, are on opposing arms. And I could have sworn, someone correct me down below if I'm wrong, let me know, but I could have sworn there was in one of the trailers they showed them all looking at their wristbands at the same time, and I could have sworn they were all on the same arm. I could be wrong. I know there's a scene that shows that, but let me know. I could be wrong. Not that it's a biggie, it just is what it is. If it turns out that I'm right, whichever arm they're supposed to be in, whichever figures don't have it on that arm, I'm going to switch it. So, you know, you guys do what you see fit. We'll start with Reed, aka Mr. Fantastic. And I tell you, when it comes to the MCU figures, Hasbro almost always comes up with the unique sculpts. You know where the bulk of the budget goes when we get MCU figures. And it's no different with these Fantastic Four figures. As I stated prior with the Johnny Storm figure, the costume, we've got the textures there, and if you run your fingers across it, you can feel that. The same with the collar. It's all textured in there. It's not painted, so pretty good. The same thing goes with the arms. And we've got the black trim at the top of the gloves, and there's black on the interior of the glove like it's supposed to be, and even up around the wrist area, in the forearm area. That trim is also around the belt. The belt is white. I suspect that, and I'll look at mine to see if there's any imperfections to validate my claim. No, from what I can see, I've got something going on back there. I'm trying to determine if the belt is black and then painted white, or the other way around. And I think it's the other way around, quite frankly. And this is not an imperfection. That is consistent. It's also on Johnny Storm's belt, so that is not a a blemish or anything. So pretty cool. And of course, with the when we get down to the feet, we've got that black trim at the top of the boots, white. We've got some paint going on there. Then of course the soles got the black and the blue. We have the textures going down there. Almost looks like socks coming up out of his boots. But no, I think that's pretty cool. So that's what we have. The articulation is similar to Johnny Storm's, and that the head is on a ball hinge joint, so you can look up that far, look down that far. You don't get much in the way of pivot. Of course, you can 360 it. You can T-pose read that way. No butterfly joints, which is unfortunate for this particular wave. But they can rear back this far, and of course with no butterfly joints, you're definitely not going to get any cross body going on. So you get that. You do get the biceps and of course the double jointed elbows. You get the swiveling wrists, and they hinge horizontally, and that's on both sides there. His watch or wristband is on his right arm. It was on Johnny's left arm and on the Human Torch's. I failed to mention that even when he's a flame, he came with the wristband, and it is there. You can't really tell because it's also translucent red, but it's there, and they're loose. So be careful when it comes to switching hands, because you can lose them in your carpets. We've got a diaphragm action going on here, so Reed can shift to his right a bit, to his left. You're going to get some rotation there. In terms of going back with that diaphragm, he can go back that far. You already know what's going to happen going forward. Almost nothing. And then of course the waist swivel. This waist swivel, which I stated before on Johnny, is redundant, and I stand on that. But this actually works a bit better than the rotation there, though it does work, so it's not a problem. Legs, he can Van Damme it as well as Johnny. But then here's where the consistent profile happens. They can only kick that far. That's about 75 degrees as opposed to 90. It's about the same typical way going back. We've got the thigh cut. We've got the double jointed knees, as you can see there. No boot cut for swiveling there. He can point his toe that far forward, that far up. He's got ankle pivot, and he's got holes at the bottom of his feet. So, like I said in the last video, the articulation schemes quite similar on our human male characters. We'll put it like that. There's got to be a little bit difference when we get to Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. Reed comes with an additional set of hands, this time in the form of fists, and of course they're white on the outside, and Hasbro has seen fit to be consistent with the interior of the gloves being black, as you can see that there. Even though he has more black on his gloves in the fist form than Johnny Storm had on his, even though Johnny did have this part right here, so that was cool. So, but still curious, there's more black on Reed's than on on Johnny's. And we get an additional set of arms. As you can see, they're elongated that seems to be the thing with Hasbro when it comes to making Mr. Fantastic figures. We always get elongated arms or fingers. You know what I'm saying? We only had one version where the entire body was stretched, you know, and unfortunately it couldn't really be used with other iterations of the team because it was in a different costume. It could only be consistent either on his own or with the teammates that were wearing that same that same style of costume. But these are still pretty nice. As you can see, they're long, and in terms of their articulation, you see they have the where they connect up at the shoulder, and you get no real rotation there, and it is bendy wire, as you could see, as I'm doing it right there. Pretty tight, but you can still do it. He's got his wristband on his right arm, his right wrist, and everything's consistent with the black being on the interior of the glove. Same thing going on with the left arm. So everything is, like I said, consistent. We still have the texture going on, and the trim, black trim, very shiny black too. And now it's time for our accuracy check in terms of the facial accuracy for our boy Pedro here. And I will say that this is a far cry improvement over what we saw with Johnny Storm. I think that this definitely looks like our boy for sure. Pretty good. Very nice. And I mean straight on, and whichever profile you want to do, not to mention angles. So definitely a passing grade here. Now it's time to take a look at what many of the early reviews have purported to be the star of the show. We're talking about Sue Storm Richards, aka the Invisible Woman, and looking at her costume. She has the textures, as we stated before. That white, of course, is ever present, and everything is basically consistent. She doesn't have the black dot on her belt like Johnny and Reed have, so that's another difference going on. She also has these almost look like chevrons on her bicep on the outside, and the other two characters don't. Actually, Johnny's costume is different from Reed's and Sue's in that he's sporting white all on his arms and stuff. So once again, basic design, similar, consistent, but there are other things that make them stand out on their own. So I think that that's pretty cool. They didn't have to look like just total copies of one another. You know what I'm saying? So we got with the hand here, you see that she's got an open hand, and that's for projecting her force field from her right hand. And her left hand, she's got the black interior going on. As we can see, her wristband is on her left hand, and she's got the texture going down her legs. Very nice. And then, of course, the boots, like I said before, they shorten up. They're there just above the ankles. And she's got the black and blue trim, and she also has a bit of a heel on her boots. And I can tell you straight away that it does make it a bit problematic to stand her. I'm going to see if she'll stand now for me, and if not, you'll understand what I'm talking about. There it is. See, yeah. So that heel definitely makes it a thing to get her to stand, and she's not going to want to do it. I'll probably have to with her, spread her legs out a little bit more. Okay, she's standing now while I've got her in frame. I wouldn't be surprised if she fell before I got her out of here. But it won't come to that because it's now time to get into the articulation segment. We've got the hair, and I'll of course go over that when we do the portrait close-up for accuracy. She's got the hair that's impeding going left, right, and definitely total impeding going back. You can scratch that. Going down, she can look going down, and you're not going to get, you get a little bit of pivot there, but that's about the size of it. She's got, she can do her T-pose like that. Once again, there are no butterfly joints on these Fantastic Four First Steps figures, but she can rear back that far. You know you're not going to get much going cross body. She does get that. She has bicep swivel and double jointed elbows. And her wrist hinges, rotates and hinges horizontally. Her wristband is on her left arm. When you get to the right arm, she of course has the same with the articulation with the elbows and the bicep. Get that going on. It's kind of tight there. That second joint doesn't want to go. There we go. So she can do that. And as far as this hand, this projection hand, it doesn't have a hinge, but it does rotate it on that peg, as you can see. So you do have that diaphragm. She can go left and right with that. She can rotate, of course, going back. She goes back very nicely. You know what's going to happen going forward, though. We get nothing. All of these figures could have done with an inverted ab crunch. And she even has the waist swivel. Once again, redundant. She can nearly Van Damme it. She's got the her ability to kick is even more impeded than on the men. She can only go that far. And then the nature of her hip midsection there, when you go more, it forces it out way big time. She can, she's got the thigh cut, the double jointed knees. She does have no, with all of them, there are no boot swivels. She can point her toe that far forward, that far up. She's got the ankle pivot and, of course, the holes at the bottom of her feet. That is the articulation scheme on our Susan Storm Richards, aka the Invisible Woman. Her accessories, she comes with an extra set of hands. Her right is a fist, and we do have the black trim for the interior of the glove. Her left is a C gripping hand, and of course it's consistent with that trim, so that's pretty cool there. About to lose it, don't want to do that. So you've got that, and then the other accessory piece that she comes with is her shield. And looking at it, you see that we've got these impact marks, like maybe she was being shot at, which is cool that they show that. And you can see that right there. If you turn to the interior, this peg goes into, I'll pick it up, that hand right there. So that's how she's able to get her projection on, as you can see right there. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, nice that we got this included. Now it's time for our Vanessa Kirby check. And even though it's a very, very nice head sculpt, looking head on, I don't see our girl in there. Not at all. Turn kind of profile just a little bit. I'm trying not to allow placebo to influence me at all, but I'm not seeing it on her right side. Turning to the left, and I'm not seeing it. You guys see it? Let me know in the comments below. Going from like looking up and up towards her. No, I'm not seeing it. Then I look head on. I'm going to try something here. Look down a little bit. And no, I'm still not. I'm not doing it. It's not for me. Maybe you guys can see Miss Kirby in her face. I cannot. And here we have our Fantastic Four First Steps MCU figures compared with their comic book counterparts. These are Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman from the Walgreens exclusive collection. And I figured I'd throw this in when it comes to the Invisible Woman. If you have the either of the retro carded Invisible Women figures from the wave that came out a few years ago, you can use the invisible shield piece from that and work her fingers into the same ports that were suitable for that version of the Invisible Woman, and then you can have her doubling up her shields. And here's Reed with his attachments, his elongated arms. And, one thing I noticed that I had taken for granted when I first revealed the arms for the review, I figured that we'd get rotations in there, but we don't. So you can only perform movements with the bendy action of those arms. So my thoughts on the Hasbro Marvel Legends, Marvel Studios, the Fantastic Four First Steps MCU figures of Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman. We also know them as Reed Richards and Susan Storm Richards. They are, similar to the Human Torch and the Johnny Storm figures in terms of the limitations with the articulation, primarily in the legs that where you can only kick about 75 degrees. That's definitely an issue. Another issue I have with Mr. Fantastic's bendy arms is that there are no joints. You know what I'm saying? What you see is what you get with them, so you're going to have to work. So it's quite limited in that regard. With Sue, the issues I have with Sue would be the face print. Actually, she doesn't look like the actress that's portraying Susan Storm Richards. Vanessa Kirby didn't do her justice. It's a nice portrait, don't get me wrong, but I just don't see her. Pedro Pascal, on the other hand, that right there so far is the most accurate portrait that we've gotten in this wave. Pretty cool. The other thing that's really bothering me is the lack of the boot swivels on any of them. And I've noticed that that's been happening quite a bit with Marvel Legends. I'm starting to think that this is their new direction, and I hope I'm wrong. Anyway, you see what I got going on here with the Invisible Woman. She's got her shield on the on her left. That's because that clip that you can use to peg into that projecting right hand, you can put it in that C gripper, and I'm thinking that was Hasbro's intent. So that's why I've got that going on. So she's able to utilize her left arm to project as well. So that's a plus. So there it is. I'm loving the unique sculpts, the textures and everything with the costume. I'm loving the how they're all consistent with the basic design, but there are certain subtle things that make them unique to the character. That's a very nice touch to that. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. This is a pass. You excited for the movie? We're getting closer as of the recording of this video. It's only 5 days away. So yes, getting really excited. So far the initial reviews have been good on the film. Everybody's just been losing it over Susan Richards here. She's supposedly the star of the show. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. You know what I'm saying? So this is part 2 of the Fantastic Four First Steps wave of figures. We're going to round it out with the last 2. You already know who they are. So we'll see you then. All right. Peace.